So this is basically a revision video for everything coming on the Commerce Paper 1. Now the paper is actually happening tomorrow, so I guess perfect timing. A few days back we asked you guys through Instagram what topics you found the hardest. So this is basically a compilation of our videos, but focusing only on the important bits.
Before we look at the sources of buying, we'll have to look at the buying process. So just to be clear, we are talking about a business buying resources. Buying usually begins with a requisition form. This would provide a clear description of the quantity and the type of resource required. Next, the buyer would have to discuss terms and conditions with the supplier. We call this stage the buying process negotiation. Then the third step would be placing the order. In the fourth stage, the buyer should chase delivery. This means that if there is a delay in delivery, the buyer should contact the supplier and find out what's wrong. Lastly, when the resource has arrived, they should be checked against the invoice.
Sole traders. A sole trader is a business owned by a single person. It is the simplest commercial enterprise. Some features of sole traders are simple formation, no special documents, personal capital has to be invested, owner has complete control and ownership, owner keeps the full profit, and they have unlimited liability. Unlimited liability means that the owners of the business is personally responsible for all business debts which can go above the amount originally invested. So sole traders can do a variety of professions ranging from farmers and fishermen to small builders and manufacturers to shop owners or service offerers. Now let's take a look at the advantages and disadvantages of sole traders. Advantages. Owner keeps all the profits. Owner has complete control. There are no legal requirements. Flexibility, meaning they can adapt to changes quickly. Offer personal service to consumers. May qualify for government help. Disadvantages. Unlimited liability. Struggle to raise finance. Too much of a responsibility for the owner. Owners might have to work long hours. They are too small to exploit economies of scale, and the business dies with the owner. Partnerships. A partnership is when a business is owned by 2 to 20 people. Some features of partnerships are no legal requirements, employ other staff, both partners contribute to capital. There could be a limited partnership where capital is provided by a partner but they do not work in the business. Ownership and control is by the partners. Profit is distributed among partners. Unlimited liabilities. And a deed of partnership is formed. A deed of partnership is a legal document that states the rights of the partners. It states how much capital each partner gave, how profits are shared, and how to terminate a partnership. Now let's take a look at the advantages and disadvantages of partnerships. Advantages. They are easy to set up and run. Partners can specialize in what they are good at. Running the business is shared. More capital can be raised, and financial information is not published. Disadvantages. Unlimited liability. Profits have to be shared. The partners might disagree. Any partner's decision affects every partner. Limited companies. Limited companies are incorporated businesses. We discussed what incorporated businesses are in the previous video. They have their own legal identity. Let's take a look at some of the features of limited companies. Official procedure needs to be followed when forming a limited company. Capital is raised by issuing shares. The day-to-day work is run by directors who are elected by shareholders. The profits are distributed among the shareholders as dividends, and the owners have limited liability. Forming a limited company. First, two or more members send a bunch of documents, which we will discuss later on, to the registrar of companies. These documents make up the constitution of the company, stating how the company should be structured and governed. The members will now get a certificate of incorporation, officially approving the formation of a limited company. One of the documents that have to be sent is the Memorandum of Association. This sets out the constitution by giving details of the company, including the name and address of the office, objectives of the company, amount of capital that has to be raised, and the number of shares that has to be issued. Another document is the Articles of Association. This sets out the internal running of the company, including shareholder rights, procedure to appoint directors, the length of service of directors, which is re-election, the timing of company meetings, and the arrangement for company accounts. Private limited companies are small or medium sized and tend to be owned by families and passed down through a heritage. Some features of private limited companies are: shares can only be transferred if all shareholders agree to it. Directors are usually shareholders involved in the day-to-day running of the business. Now let's take a look at the advantages and disadvantages of private limited companies. Advantages: limited liability, more capital can be raised, control cannot be lost to outsiders, businesses will continue if a shareholder dies, and it has more status or respect. Disadvantages: the financial information is made public, it costs money to set up, the profits are shared between the shareholders, it takes time to transfer shares, and it cannot raise as much capital as public limited companies. Public limited company. A public limited company has shares available to public in the stock exchange. This means that anyone can buy shares, other companies, individuals, or investors. However, for a company to become a PLC, it can be very expensive, since the company needs lawyers to publish the prospectus. The prospectus needs to be published after printing. They have to pay banks to process applications. They have to pay the advertising fees. And in most countries, there should be a minimum of pounds 50,000. A prospectus is a document provided by a company that wants the public to buy its shares. Now let's take a look at the advantages and disadvantages of public limited companies. Advantages: large capital can be raised, limited liability, can exploit economies of scale, can dominate the market, shares can be bought and sold easily, they have a high media profile. Disadvantages: they are expensive, outsiders can take control by purchasing many shares, the financial information is made public, the owners are more remote from customers, they must follow regulatory rules from company acts, the managers may take control of the business. Privatization. Privatization is the transfer of public sector resources to the private sector. There are many forms of privatization. Sale of public corporations. This could be done by selling the shares to anyone who would buy them or sell part of the business over a large period of time. Deregulation. This is the removing of legal restrictions that prevent competition in a certain industry. Contracting out, where contractors are given a chance to provide a service previously supplied by the public sector. Sale of land and property. The government may also sell land to the private sector, for example, for agriculture. Why does privatization take place? To generate income. Large amounts of money can be raised by the sale of state-owned assets. To reduce inefficiency. Due to the lack of competition and no profit motive, public corporations often make losses that would not happen in the private sector due to the profit motive. Deregulation. If legal barriers are removed, new businesses would be able to join the market and firms would be privatized to encourage more firms to join the market. Reduce political interference. This is so that governments cannot use the businesses for political aims. Effects of privatization. Consumers will benefit from privatization since businesses have to meet customer needs and return profits. This would increase efficiency, and so the quality would increase and the prices would decrease. Workers would often be let go during privatization in order to cut costs. This could result in a loss of experience and make it more expensive in case the business decides to scale up in the future. Businesses do not face political interference but have to face competition. Business objectives usually change after privatization. There would be an increased investment and new areas of the market would be touched. Functions of retailers. What do retailers do? Retailers basically buy goods from manufacturers and sells them to consumers. Retailers are usually positioned in locations convenient to customers, like a bookshop located in front of a school. Retailers also often add values to things like delivering, packaging, repair services, and gift wrapping. Buying. Retailers have to buy stocks from manufacturers. This has to be in sufficient quantities to supply customers and not too much to have excess supply. Larger retailers buy large quantities of goods and sell them in smaller quantities. This is called bulk breaking. Storing. Retailers have storage facilities to store their stocks of goods. Retailers could store their goods in stores where they are displayed on shelves, in storerooms where backup stocks could be held, or in central warehouses where the goods can be distributed to different outlets. Selling. Retailers help manufacturers by providing an outlet to market their products. Large retailers buy straight from manufacturers in large quantities. Small retailers buy from wholesalers in smaller quantities. Retailers are often located in the convenient locations, offer services throughout the day, and provide a comfortable shopping experience. Credit facilities. By allowing customers to buy now and pay later, retailers provide a very attractive option for consumers. Small retailers would often provide credit on an informal basis, based on trust. Most retailers provide credit cards as an option to customers. This way, the retailer gets their money immediately from the bank, and the customer must pay the money back to the bank. New products. When new products are launched, it is important for manufacturers that retailers have stocks in the right amount and right time. Retailers may also help in the promotion of new products. Advertising. Retailers carry out point of sales advertising, where posters and other materials to promote goods, where consumers conduct transactions. Window display are also important because they would attract shoppers inside. The cost for advertising is often shared between the retailer and the manufacturer. After sales services. By adding extra features, retailers aim to add value and go beyond the standard expectations. This may be high quality customer service or after sales services. Customers would prefer retailers with a help desk or products that come with a free maintenance service. Other after-sale services include gift wrapping, delivery, repairs, warranties, and courtesy calls. Changes in wholesaling. Decline in the number of wholesalers as retailers try to eliminate the middleman to cut costs. Retail chains bulk buy directly from manufacturers. Increasing amounts of business happens online. Improvements in infrastructure speed up distribution. Wholesalers are becoming a customer-focused business as well now to remain competitive. Technological developments improves the efficiency of wholesalers. Wholesalers have diversified into a wide range of products. Impact of changes in wholesaling on manufacturers. Adapting to the need of retailers by selling directly. Manufacturers are also providing online services which require investments. Business-to-business trading often still involves wholesalers though, as only about 10% of business-to-business happens online. Impact on retailers. Competitive pressure forces many retailers to buy directly from manufacturers. This allows them to save money, but also changes their practices. For example, Goods would be transported to a central warehouse. Impact on consumers. Changes in the chain of distribution has reduced cost for consumers as an increased choice is available now. The growth in e-commerce also allows consumers to buy directly from suppliers worldwide. Balance of payment. Balance of payments is a record of all transactions related to international trade. This account can be split into two. Firstly, the current account, which is the part of the balance of payments where all exports and imports are recorded. It can be used to compare the exports and imports and try to maintain them to an equal value. This includes the visible balance, also known as balance of trade, and the invisible balance. Next, the capital and financial accounts, which is the part of the balance of payment that records transactions related to savings and investments. Deficits and surpluses in the current account. The difference between the value of import and export is called the current balance. There are two types of current balance. Current account deficit is when the value of imports is greater than the value of exports. This is bad since the value the government spends is more than what it earns. Current account surplus is when the value of exports is greater than the value of imports. This is good because the nation is earning more than what it is spending. Trading blocks. A trading bloc is a group of countries situated in the same region that join together and enjoy free trade without tariffs, quotas, or other trade barriers. Countries like to trade within a region due to low transport costs and cultural ties. Some features of trading blocks are listed below. Removal of tariffs. A tariff is a trade barrier, meaning it is imposed to restrict trade. The main feature of blocks is to be free of trade barriers, so that businesses in one country can sell goods of any quantity to other countries within a trading bloc. Common external tariffs. All countries within a trading bloc usually have a common tariff on imports from a country who are not part of the bloc. This also applies to other trade barriers like quotas. A quota is a restriction on the quantity of imports allowed into a country. Free movement. Movement of people, money, and capital should be free within the countries in a trading bloc. This means that a business can transfer any amount of capital. Businesses can also transport goods through borders without checks. Now let's take a look at some of the advantages and disadvantages of trading blocs to member countries. Trading becomes cheaper due to trade barriers being destroyed. This might attract foreign business investment. Reduce cross-border conflicts. Disadvantages. Worldwide trade opposes trading blocs because it focuses on regions and not global trade. Financial costs of contribution. Firms within a bloc to become too powerful and become a monopoly. Members might rely too much on the trading bloc. There could be changes to traditional culture because of the trading bloc. Now let's take a look at the advantages and disadvantages of trading blocs to businesses. Advantages: allow specialization, increase in the market, exploits economies of scale, easier to obtain resources, and the counterbalance against globalization, protecting smaller industries. Disadvantages to businesses: inefficient producers might be protected, which would mean a harm for customers, unequal resources, which could result in political tension, benefits of a bloc might lead to tensions with other regions, members might have different economic powers, smaller businesses would have more competition. Risk reduction. Entrepreneurs take risks when starting a business. They do not know if they will make a loss or profit. By having an insurance cover, they can claim a financial compensation, reducing the effect of a loss. It's worth to note that as the risks increase, the premiums will also increase. Compensation. Businesses who have an insurance policy can take out a financial compensation in case of a loss. Compensation could also be paid to another party if the insured is responsible for the loss of that party. For example, if a brick falls on a visitor's head in a construction site, the insurer will likely cover the medical costs. Financial protection. Although an insurer cannot prevent a loss, it can reduce the impact of the loss by providing financial compensation. Without this, a loss would affect the business in a larger scale. For example, in the case of a natural disaster, the owner would have to cover the cost of reconstruction, which could possibly ruin the owner. Confidence. Taking out an insurance policy builds the confidence in a business because the entrepreneurs know that any loss will be made up for by the insurance. If entrepreneurs are confident about the business, they are likely to succeed. Investment. Insurance businesses can use the money they get from the premiums into investments. The insurance companies will then get financial returns, especially from investing in the shares of PLCs. Some of the money covers running costs and meet the cost of a claim by an insurer. Insurance principles. The insured can gain compensation only if the claim is fair and legal. So to make sure that the relationship between the business and the insured will work, both follow a bunch of principles, which we will take a look at now. Indemnity. The principle of indemnity states that the insured cannot profit from a claim. Once an insured has gotten a claim, they should not be any better or any worse than they were before. Contribution. The principle of contribution states that an insurer has the right to collect money from other insurers if the insurer has taken out more than one policy. For example, if a laptop is stolen from an office, it is covered by both contents and office insurance. So both the insurance companies would share the compensation to be paid. Subrogation. The principle of subrogation states that once compensation has been paid to the insured, any property recovered from a loss belongs to the insurer. This means if the laptop from the previous example was recovered, it belongs to the insurance company until the insured pays back the compensation in full to get the laptop back. Insurable interest. The principle of insurable interest states that these individuals cannot claim for losses made by other parties. Utmost good faith. The principle of utmost good faith states that both parties should be honest with each other. The insurer should clearly state the terms and conditions of the car. The insured should give accurate information with all details. Insurance business risks. Business owners would take out insurance cars to ensure financial protection in case of a loss. Different risks require different insurance. Listed below are some of the most common types of insurance. Premises. Loss of a business's trading place would mean that the business cannot operate. Due to this, most businesses take out premises insurance. A building's insurance covers repairs to the building itself, and contents insurance covers the replacing of any inventory. Theft. Inventory or cash can be stolen by employees or shoppers. This is more likely to happen if there is poor security or if there is easy access to inventory or cash. Theft is covered in contents insurance, but sometimes specialist cover is available if the risk is higher. Motor. For businesses that use vehicles, the law states that all drivers or owners must have an insurance policy to protect them from any third-party claims. A third-party insurance only provides claims made by others. A third-party fire and theft insurance covers fire, theft, and third-party claims. Marine. This provides insurance for the shipping industry. Hull insurance covers the ship's infrastructure. Cargo insurance covers the loss of ship's cargo, as the cargo does not usually belong to the shipping company. Freight insurance covers the cost of the freight if the owner cannot deliver goods due to unavoidable circumstances. Fire. Fires can destroy factories, inventory, equipment, and machinery, which causes businesses to stop operating until damages are fixed, or the business could go out of business. Usually, this is covered by the premises insurance that we discussed above. Consequential losses. This covers the loss of income if a business is unable to trade due to any unforeseen circumstances. Some insurance policies cover the loss of income if there is a power cut, illness, or key workers, or no components available due to supply delay. These losses are called indirect losses. Employees' liability. The insurance is required by law in order to provide compensation if employees are injured at work. This is because many work environments are hazardous and have a high risk of injury. It protects employees from dishonest employers. Public liability covers the legal action and compensation for claims made by third party against the business. This is because if public get injured in a business premise, then they can make a claim to get a compensation. Although this insurance is not required by law, it is quite important for businesses. Product liability covers for the cost of damages resulted from a faulty product. If a customer makes a claim due to the loss suffered from a faulty product, the insurance would help provide the legal cost and any compensation that has to be paid by the business. Fidelity guarantee compensated employers for the loss of money or property sustained as a result of fraud, theft, or dishonesty by employees. Thefts by employees are often difficult to spot, especially if they have easy access to cash, bank accounts, etc. Credit insurance covers for the non-payment of goods that were purchased based on credit. Credit insurance is more popular with exporters because it is harder to get debts from overseas customers. Consumer protection. Consumers always want to have the highest quality goods for the lowest possible price. Consumers do not want overpriced goods sold with false claims. If not for government regulation, businesses could exploit customers by increasing prices, carrying out price fixing, which is when a group of firms agree to fix the price to avoid competition, restricting consumer choice, raising barriers to entry, making it harder for new firms to enter the market. Reasons for consumer legislations. This protects consumers from businesses because businesses are more powerful than individuals. Businesses have expert knowledge, which most customers don't. Some businesses don't take care when handling goods, and some businesses are only interested in profit. Consumer legislation prevents businesses from making false claims about any goods, selling goods not suitable for drinking or eating under the claim that they are, selling goods that are not fit for purpose. Examples of consumer protection legislation. Sale of Goods Act 1979, a law in UK that states that products sold by businesses should be appropriate quality and fit for purpose. Food Safety Act 1990, a law in the UK that states food should be suitable for eating, following safety standards. Trade Descriptions Act 2011, a law in Malaysia that promotes good trade practices and prohibits dishonest trade habits with regards to goods and services. National Consumer Credit Protection Act 2009, a law in the Australia that protects customers who take out loans, offer financial advice by imposing obligations on credit providers. Most countries have specialist organizations to enforce consumer legislation. They have the power to take companies to court and even make recommendations on what action should be taken against bad companies.